I'd like to welcome you guys to Buzz's World. This is my personal shop, and this is where I do all the design and sort of R&D for our new models. And what might look to the untrained eye like piles of junk is actually very valuable tools that I use in the design process. And I'm actually working on a new model right now that I'm pretty excited about. I'd like to give you guys kind of a guided tour around the shop, you know, kind of introduce you to the tools and some of the stuff that I'm doing here. And so take a look around. This is where I design new products, try to improve the stuff we use on our guitars so they perform better, figure out new models, make improvements, you know, find different ways of doing things. These are some prototype necks that I've been working on, including a new 25-inch scale tilt-back type of guitar, tilt-back headstock type of guitar. And that's actually the project I'm working on at the moment. In the corner there, as you can see, there are a stack of body blanks, and that's sort of my starting point. I start with a body blank with the pickups routed out, the neck pocket, and sort of design the guitar around that. These body blanks are routed for 2 humbuckings, and the neck pocket has been already routed so that I don't have to duplicate that work. But basically I can just find my center line and design around that, and I pretty much got a blank slate. Moving along, you'll see my drawing board, and this is kind of the starting point for guitars. I have my own process for designing guitars, and it might be a little different than other luthiers use, but I think we're probably all fairly similar. I know a lot of the design is done in the computer these days in a program called Mastercam, which is connected directly to the CNC machines that cut the bodies and necks. And of course, our guitars are made the same way once the initial prototypes have been finalized. When I first started designing, I noticed that some of I would you know, compare body shapes of the various manufacturers like Gibson and Fender, and discovered that some of the curves on the Fender models, the Telecaster and Stratocaster to be specific, corresponded exactly to some of the French curves that I was using. So I realized that those guys probably used the same technique. Moving along, one of the most important tools is the disc sander, and any luthier will tell you that is absolutely your best friend. It saves you hours and hours of hand shaping, hand sanding. And this is the project I'm currently working on, and I'm really happy with it. It's a 25-inch scale, sort of Gibson style guitar. Definitely a departure from our other models, which are 25.5-inch scale, but there's something I always loved about the shorter scale guitars, especially regarding the sustain and so on, but there's some ways I believed it could be improved. Here's another view of the body where you can see some of the routing and some of the body shaping going on. The whole top on this guitar is domed, and it just gives it a very comfortable feel when you're holding it. Also, underneath on the lower side, you notice that the neck pocket is angled. That's a sloped heel, and we do that for better access to the strings above the 12th fret. This is the new neck that's going to be going on our 25-inch scale custom prototype, and it's also a tilt-back headstock with a 4-degree tilt-back, which is very, very shallow. This neck has the block pearl inlay with the logo at the 12th fret. I'm really, really happy with the tuners as well. Using a tuner that's new for me, which is the Goto 510. Just a fantastic tuner. Ebony knobs, 18:1 tuning ratio, and it's just fantastic. Each string slot has a slightly different angle to correspond to the location of the tuner. So you want to try to duplicate that angle as closely as possible when you cut the string slots in the nut. This is kind of how the guitar is going to look when it's completed. Now there are, of course, things remaining to be done paint, of course. Some fine tuning of the shape. Maybe headstock shape may need to be adjusted a little bit. But as far as playability, the guitar's already been strung up and played, and I know that part works. So I'm very happy with it acoustically so far. So I'm just going to try to not mess it up from this point forward. The switch placement works very well. I actually took that pickup selector switch, which I'm going to try to show you right now. I took that Gibson type pickup selector switch and cut it down, cut the plastic cover down a little bit, so it's a low profile switch so you don't hit it accidentally. Anyway, that worked out very well. Also, this is a pretty good angle. You can see how I had to plug up the old three-way pickup selector, and the volume and tone knobs needed to be plugged up as well. We're going to try to hide that as best we can with paint, but you know, for prototype purposes, those are kind of things you just have to live with. I hope you guys have enjoyed the guided tour through Buzz's world. And as I mentioned, this is where I come up with new ideas, new ways to improve stuff, new models, new hardware, and I'm going to keep you guys posted on a regular basis about what I'm working on. So come back and visit us again.